Welcome back. Listen Up has been looking at financial recovery in global economies and in our own homes. Up next, a different sort of recovery story. From the outside, all signs indicated Jeff Voth had arrived. But he'd been defining his life by things he owned until he realized too late that those things owned him.
The first bank's a bit of a blur.
It's a crime we associate with movie villains and criminal masterminds.
I don't know if I blocked it. I don't know exactly how that all works.
Jeff Voth, automotive journalist, husband, and father of two, doesn't look like a villain or like a convicted bank robber, but that's what he is.
And I scouted around trying to find a bank that was small, that would not have a lot of people in it because I didn't want to hurt anybody. I just basically wanted to run in, get the money, run out, go back, pay some bills, and hide.
He's had years to think about why life went so wrong. Jeff, how did stuff start to take such a big place in your life?
Great question. If you remember back in the 1980s, those were times where gaining and acquiring things at a high level, the Yuppie Age, I guess is probably the best way to put it, was very much at the forefront of everybody's mind. And I was working at a luxury automobile dealership. We were selling Mercedes and Porsches and all sorts of really cool cars. Things, for me personally, I was in an environment where acquiring was basically how you defined yourself. I had to wear nice suits, I had to wear nice jewelry, I had to do all those kind of things. So just a lot of accumulation of stuff to make it look like we had the right appearance, and that created a lot of debt with that.
It seemed like Jeff had it all: loving wife and daughters, a great job, and an important role in his church, but he was carrying a heavy secret. You started to lie about the reality of your finances, what was and wasn't there. What did it look like?
I had to start basically covering up the amount of debt that I was building up personally that my wife had no idea about. Sales started to tank a little bit. As we entered into the 90s, we all felt the crush of the recession, and so I wasn't selling as much as I was pretending that I was selling. And along with that, I had to finance things in various ways, and that created an accumulation of debt.
How bad did that get?
I was still stuck in the, I can do this, I can get out of this, just work a little harder, just hide a little more, just find some way to pay the bills. And whether it's pay the Visa with the MasterCard or pay the loan with the Visa, whatever it was just a case of shuffling the deck every month to try and make it work.
Jeff, you get to the point where you start to plan to rob your first bank. How does that even get into your mind? Tell us about that.
The process was basically, I decided that getting money fast, that would be the best way. So I went and bought a unloaded pellet pistol, and I bought a mask, like a Halloween type mask. I grabbed a black trench coat. I can't remember where I got that from. And actually decided this is something that I was going to do.
So Jeff robbed his first bank, and then another. In the span of 18 months, he held up 8 different banks, using the money to help feed the lie he was living.
Pride. Pride is a huge motivator to do evil. It was almost as if I could compartmentalize things. As if I could go to church and be the person on Sunday and throughout the week in areas of service such as youth that people thought I was. And then I would take all of that, sort of put it in a little box, and then go out and rob a bank.
After a botched 9th attempt, Jeff had a moment of clarity.
As I'm driving down one of the side country roads, there's this conversation going on, and it was almost a verbal conversation where I felt very strongly that God was saying, today is the day.
Almost immediately afterwards, Jeff was apprehended by the police.
And I knew what was about to happen. They asked me politely if they could search the trunk, and I said yes. And as soon as I said that, I felt this weight just lifted off, but this massive pressure of, oh my God, here we go. We're going to go walk down this road together, God, so help me.
He turned to his pastor before he turned to his lawyer.
And Tom, my pastor, came and visited me through the glass, and he was saying, whatever you do, stick to the truth, tell the whole story, don't hold back. This is not the opportunity. God is going to walk you through this. Be honest.
That road led to a guilty plea and a 7-year sentence in prison. How did that affect your wife and your girls?
It was just like dropping a bomb into our family, and I was exposed.
Jeff, how did you say sorry to them?
That's a process. That's a process that's still ongoing. This all happened in 1996, and we're in 2011, and I'm still in that process of saying sorry. It's probably something that's going to take my whole life. There's forgiveness, and we all know that God has, that God's forgiveness is all-encompassing, and that we are supposed to forget. But there's the consequences of bad choices, that as much as you forget them and you forgive them, they're still part of the fabric of the family.
Another thing likely to last a lifetime is Jeff's gratitude.
My wife, for the longest time, obviously wasn't sure where things were going to go, but she's the most amazing. Her capacity for forgiveness is unbelievable. It's the most Christ-like of anyone that I've ever met.
And the lessons from jail?
Going to jail helped me to do was to actually become refocused on who I was in God, who I was because of Christ, deal with the sin of not only the bank robberies and the lying and everything else, but everything that was going on, because I was separated from my family. So I was set apart, and in that season I had the opportunity to really deal with the sin at many different levels. And that would be relationally with people, that would be reading my Bible, that would be praying, that would be journaling, that would be doing all the things, and the responsibilities that God gave me in jail of just really restoring who I was as His child and who He had created me to be.
Money is such a big part of our lives and how it chases us. What would be your advice to others who are struggling with keeping money in its proper perspective?
Well, first thing I would say, be honest and sit down with someone, whether it's your pastor, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a friend, and tell them that this is something that you're struggling with. To live an honest life is much more powerful than to live a deceptive life. Both have power, but the power of God, when I open the door to say, this is who I really am, deal with it. I'm learning to. That's so much more powerful than living a lie.
When we return, getting honest about what's driving your financial insecurities. Stay tuned for The Wrap.